Welcome to Concho Valley Crossover. I'm Jaden Hart. That's Matt Locke. And Matt, football is finally back.
Officially. One of the weirdest preseason games, but we got it back. It's back.
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to go on air. We got pushed back because the NBC carried the game last night. And, I mean, since football was finally back, I wanted to see a good game. And, of course, you were giving me a hard time because the Broncos were driving.
Overtime.
Yes. The Broncos were driving, and I didn't want it to end in a field goal. That would have probably been the most boring way for a football season to get underway.
I mean, it could have been a double doink. We've had that.
Yeah.
We've had some pretty exciting field goals, but in the Hall of Fame game, was there maybe 100 people at that game?
It's a celebrated event every year. I mean, it's cool because you have guys like, I think it was Ed Reed in this class, Tony Gonzalez, Champ Bailey, the Cowboys' longtime personnel guy. I think Gil Brandt is his name. So, I mean, there's some cool people that are at the game, and then, of course, the Hall of Fame ceremony is this weekend.
I think the biggest excitement is, obviously the Hall of Fame ceremony this weekend. You've got a lot of fans of, the teams these guys played for that are there, but I think it's more just football's finally back. I mean, you look at a lot of football fans in the middle of the summer, they don't care too much about baseball. A lot of baseball fans will start paying attention around September.
Yeah, I could care less about the Broncos and the Falcons. It's just the fact that when it was a game. Finally at home and I can sit down and I hear Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth calling a game, then I feel like
no matter how annoying it is,
football.
we know it's football season. When you hear
exactly.
Now here's a guy. Yeah, that's how you know it's truly football season. Once you hear Chris Collinsworth. Come on.
Because they're the first game. The NBC's got the first game. Packers and Bears are the season opener.
They do.
Still got a few weeks though.
They've got a couple great games to start off. They've got that game. They've got the Eagles and the Falcons during the regular season the week after as well. So, of course, we have to listen to. I have to. Not used to all the wires around here. I have to listen to Chris Collinsworth get super excited about a receiver who catches the ball like it's everybody's job.
But and I mean, Chris Collinsworth, a receiver, he's one of those guys that has respect for the game. So, I mean, respect for a game at that position because Hall of Fame receiver, you're going to generally kind of lean towards talking about that position if you played it. Not trying to sit here and defend the guy, but
he does. But you know what? During the 2017 Super Bowl, the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl, the two catches in particular, the Corey Clement catch for the touchdown and the Alshon Jeffrey catch for a touchdown, both of which he sided with the defense. He's like, I don't know if he came down with it. I don't know if it's a catch when he goes with the receiver every time. So doesn't always defend his position. Come on now.
No, I mean, so getting back to that game last night.
Yeah, so we were talking about getting back to the game. So we're sitting there, and of course NBC goes on late because local news is not going to cut into a game. But CBS on KLST was not. So I was going on at 10, or we were going on at 10 no matter what happened. I was hoping for overtime. I was hoping kick a field goal, especially because you got to the 4th and 4, I believe it was. They scored, called back for holding, 4th and 14. You'd think, oh, well, they're going to go for a field goal, but nope. That kidney stone.
No, Vic Fangio. I forgot.
The coaching with a kidney stone last night comes out and says, you know what? Go for it on 4th and 14 and a beautiful catch in the end zone.
He didn't want to be on that sideline any longer. No, he was ready. I'm done.
I think that kidney stone was ready to come out, and he was like, look, win or lose, we're ending this game in regulation.
But right there, you can see the catch. We're playing on our live stream on Concho Valley homepage. The catch that was made towards the end of the game. I'm sitting there cutting highlights, getting ready for the show, and I just hear you, like yelling, and I look back and I see what actually happened. And I mean, he made a pretty nifty little catch in the game for a preseason game. That's
for a preseason game,
exciting
and a guy that we might not see on Sundays, or maybe we'll see one or two snaps for two guys. The cornerback and the receiver that was out there. Who knows if they're going to make a team? But for him to make an impact like that in the first game. Obviously, the Hall of Fame game is the biggest preseason game, I think, in the NFL because it's the only. That and the game in Hawaii that the Cowboys are playing in. But in a game like that, the first game of the season, your first real chance to play, you make a game catch or a game-winning touchdown catch like that right at the end. Definitely, that's a heck of a way to start preseason football. That is a heck of an introduction to this football season.
No, definitely. And I think it's so I've heard this argument before, and I kind of wouldn't mind to get your opinion on it. But oftentimes you have guys, especially if you're going by scouting and the combine, all this stuff, these highly touted NFL prospects who go high in the draft or they get drafted in general. And then you have guys that are undrafted. Tony Romo was a really good example of that. But guys who are undrafted and they play well, they might not practice well, but they play well in these preseason games. So, I mean, how much weight do you think you should actually put into preseason football?
I think 4 guys, like you said, that are high draft picks where the teams kind of know what they're getting because they've scouted them for a long time. If you're a first and second round draft pick, you're getting scouted for a while, and I don't care what anybody says. If you're, a top 10 draft pick, you know where you're going.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to sit there and they're going to be professional. Oh, we'll see what happens. Obviously, yeah, there can be some shocking things. But at the end of the day, for the most part, they know where they're going. Kyler Murray knew that he was going number 1 overall. There may have been a bunch of questions around everybody else, but Kyler knew that he was going number 1 overall. So I think it's a bigger deal. I think you put weight in the preseason for the guys who made the catch. Because I guarantee you not a single person out there, unless you're a Broncos fan, maybe, has heard of the receiver that made that catch last night.
No. I mean,
so that's where you get a chance to make a name for yourself. And yeah, you get to compete at practice, but you go out and you play in a game in an actual situation where the lights are on you, the cameras are on you, the pressure of the NFL is on you now, and you make a play like that. I think that carries a lot of weight. I mean, you look at a guy like Julio Jones sat out the entire game. Matt Ryan didn't play. And that makes, even Joe Flacco didn't play, and that makes a lot of sense. But for the younger guys, this is their tryout.
Yeah, well, it's just, but what I guess I'm saying, though, is because you can really find hidden gems, and I think that, it could be an opinion.
I think scores don't matter.
Scores don't matter.
The sports, the football fans that come up to you and tell, oh, man, we went 4-0 in preseason.
Well, yeah, there's been teams who have gone 4-0 in preseason.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure the Browns, the year that they went 0-16, either went 3-1 or undefeated in preseason.
The people that sit down and watch preseason are the fans that just want to see their team play again, or it's the fans that they know their practice squad guys, they know their 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks, they know their 3, 4, 5 on the depth chart, and they want to see them play. I think the casual fan that just likes it puts too much stock into the preseason.
Yeah, well, okay, so another guy, a good example of this would be Marcus Jones. Getting picked up by the Packers. Angelo State guy, obviously. Absolutely. We want to see him make an NFL roster. He's clearly a good football player if you lead the division, or all of Division II.
Lead the country in how many statistical categories, sacks, tackles for loss. I thought was a snub for the Harlan Hill, which is the Division II equivalent of the Heisman. Won the Division II lineman, defensive player of the year. The dude was just an animal. But in the NFL, he's not a D-end. He was transitioned to an outside linebacker, which learning a new position is tough, especially going into an NFL training camp.
But those cross over a little bit more than other positions.
They do.
Normally, if you're going to be a DN, you typically, like you said, go to an outside linebacker, and you're still coming off the edge, or you're still at least the main difference is coverage. You're going to have to go into coverage.
That's a lot of the questions, and that's what I think a lot of, obviously at this early on, we don't know why players get cut. I wonder if coverage was part of it. Because the dude can rush. Flat out, the dude is undersized for an NFL-sized D-end, but the dude can flat out rush. He is strong. He can just flat out push people out of his way. If he was a little bit bigger, maybe if he was 6'5" and had another 75 pounds, he could be on the line. But I think in the NFL, the big thing was probably the coverage. But he does get another chance at a roster. He was waived by Baltimore, picked up by the Packers, so he's going to the land of the cheeseheads.
But hey, that's good. I'm excited.
It's another opportunity,
and that's why I continue on this point of guys that probably have the ability. A guy that we've seen has the capability to perform at one of the best levels in the nation in a college football program.
Definitely.
And yes, you can make argument Division I to Division II, but there's been plenty of successful Division II football players.
Yeah, I was about to say it's the right players. Bloomsburg, the PSAC, the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, where I went to school, had 2 future Hall of Famers. Jari Evans was an offensive lineman, won the Super Bowl with the Saints, played with the Packers as well. He'll be in the Hall of Fame in a couple years. John Kuhn, fullback for the Packers, went to Shippensburg University, a Division II. So yeah, he's a Division II guy. So I mean, Marcus Jones could be one of the next guys, and he's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, that's a lot bigger thing than what I think. Often it's just this guy's. We're going to the scouting or the combine, and this guy can run a 4.5 40 or 4.6 40. He did this many reps on bench, and his lateral is this, whatever it might be. Yes, those things matter, but they're very minimal.
Right.
Differences in those times often, unless it's something just ridiculous. Then it's almost like these guys are athletes. They wouldn't be in the situation they were in if they weren't athletes.
Everybody's good at this level.
Having a good head on your shoulders like that often can carry you and put you above other people. It's why I think Tim Tebow, might not have been the best passer in the NFL, but the guy had a winner's mentality.
He did.
And so he went out there and they won games. And I mean, he won a playoff game. Got a chance.
He won a playoff game.
He never got another chance. So, but one of that's what I kind of go back to. Just having your head on your shoulders, a winner's mentality, that often leads to giving you a leg up on guys that are entitled, or they think that they're the best player entitled. Definitely. Basically. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess now we have a reason to look at the Packers. Good luck to Marcus Jones. Hopefully he can at least get a spot on the practice squad, and maybe we'll see him on Sundays at some point in a couple years. But definitely something to keep an eye on. Both of us, Local Sports, will keep you updated on Marcus Jones and his NFL career as it continues. But for now, he's on his way to Green Bay.
Well, okay, so
camp there.
And congratulations to Marcus. Hopefully, everything you just said, we'll echo that.
That file you might be able to open it if you right-click.
Right-click.
Open with VLC.
Okay, we're going to switch over to some basketball. The reason we're talking about it is because we've got the Christmas Day rosters announced, or at least not the rosters,
matchups.
The schedule. We've got Rockets and Warriors, big one. Lakers and Clippers. The Celtics and Raptors. Without Kawhi Leonard, that one's a little questionable, but hey, they're the defending NBA champs.
Yeah, keep going. We'll talk about
Bucks and Sixers. And then the one that's surprising, I get that Zion Williamson is the hype of the NBA season, but the Pelicans and Nuggets will also kind of finish out the day.
Yeah. That one's weird.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think that's just there to get Zion on Christmas Day. I mean, the Nuggets are good. The Nuggets deserve to have a Christmas Day game, 100%. The 2 seed out of the West last year, they made a great run, made a lot of great offseason moves, kept a lot of guys they needed to keep, brought a lot of guys in that they needed. I think the Nuggets can be good. They make sense to have a Christmas Day game, but to take on the Pelicans, it's got to be only Zion.
The only argument that can be made is, Zion. Zion is, if you are going to step away from just the Zion effect, they made moves that you could argue, okay, they're going to be competitive next season, but still, when I say competitive, that I'm thinking opinion that they could make a 7 or 8 seed. They added Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram. Ooh. Maybe those guys step up.
They got Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, but okay, so maybe those guys step up because they're not playing in LA, they're not having the pressure. They don't have LeBron James there anymore. I mean, it could just
Lonzo Ball was so bad of a player that LeBron quit halfway through the season because he didn't want to play with them anymore.
But so that's because I look at there's other teams in the West especially. I mean, I'm biased. I would love to see Luka and Porzingis and the Mavs getting a chance to play.
I would have rather seen, I think, if you keep the Nuggets in there, I think a Denver-Dallas matchup makes more sense than Denver and New Orleans.
What about the Trailblazers?
The Blazers in there, too.
The Trailblazers made the Western Conference Finals. They have Damian Lillard. They have C.J. McCollum. That's star power if you're wanting that to draw in ratings, which I think is the main reason, again, why the Pelicans are in that spot. So that's star power, and they're going to be a good basketball team.
Right.
They didn't really make any moves that would have made them any better, but I don't think they did anything that made them any worse.
I would disagree. I think you can throw that Kristaps deal in there because we didn't see him at all last season, and he was a free agent. Now all of a sudden, the big move. I mean, a lot of Mavericks fans. You were saying it for
Mavs-wise, the Mavs. I'm excited.
Did we switch gears?
Yes, I was talking about the Trailblazers.
Trailblazers. I was looking at this article.
We don't need to go in a rant about how excited I am to see the Mavericks play.
That's what I thought.
If you ask me, if you ask me, I think the Mavs. The Mavs are going to win the West. They're not probably, but I am a big fan and I believe it. So
I guess I should keep paying attention to what you're actually talking about.
But the Trailblazers, I guess.
Yes, Trailblazers. Yes,
they really just kind of stayed stagnant this offseason. They got rid of Cantor, which was he kind of filled in for I believe not Vucevic, Nurkic, and when he went down with an ACL injury. So it's a big. They're a good team, and I think it's a kind of a big upset that the Pelicans are playing on Christmas Day.
I'm really excited about it. Like that's definitely the outlier in these Christmas Day games. There were even other rivalries that they could have exploited in this. I think you had the opportunity to get a Rockets Thunder.
Yeah.
You know, Chris Paul coming back, Russell Westbrook coming back. Wherever you have that game, there was going to be a major storyline.
But Chris Paul, okay, so if Chris Paul's gone, what's exciting about the Thunder?
True, nothing. But as of right now, it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Nobody wants him, and the Thunder doesn't know.
But does the NBA want to make the move to, okay, we're going to schedule the Thunder on Christmas Day, and then they end up trading Chris Paul, and they're stuck with the Rockets against a nameless Thunder team with millions of draft picks.
Even still, have it in OKC, set up the return of Westbrook and Harden together in OKC.
I can see the drama.
That's a better storyline than the New Orleans Pelicans and Denver Nuggets.
Okay, if it's in Oklahoma City, definitely can see the drama there.
Right.
I'm glad that they didn't throw the Nets in there.
Or the Knicks.
The Knicks. Definitely not the Knicks.
All right, so looking down, Clippers-Lakers makes perfect sense. Huge rivalry. Basically, Kawhi against LeBron, or Kawhi and PG against LeBron and Anthony Davis. I mean, that's going to be that's a given.
People think that's going to be the Western Conference Finals.
It probably will be. I think that's perfect. You look at Celtics, Raptors. All right, you've basically the two dark horses out of the East.
Yeah.
Because you have Bucks at Sixers,
which is the Eastern what people think will be the Eastern Conference Finals.
That makes perfect sense. You've got Giannis going up against Ben Simmons and his resurgent jump shot. We won't argue about that. I'm just going to leave it at resurgent jump shot because I like the videos I'm seeing. And Joel Embiid. That matchup makes. The NBA got this right. Other than New Orleans and Denver, the NBA got this right. And Christmas Day, this might be one of the most exciting. Because of the offseason, the most exciting slate of Christmas Day games we've had in the last couple years.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see because maybe the Pelicans can prove us wrong and they end up getting out to a good start. A lot of that could be due to David Griffin. And yesterday, Griffin made comments about LeBron James during his time in Cleveland and said basically that it was the most stressful thing that he has ever been a part of because it's LeBron James, but also he just makes work miserable.
I mean, Look, I'm not, by far, I'm not a LeBron hater. I think the guy's a great guy. He's done great things for not only the sport of basketball, but for the communities that he's played in, Cleveland and LA and Miami. But from a basketball standpoint, as an athlete standpoint, there have been so many signs that he is just a nightmare to work with.
Yeah.
And you look at LA. And yes, all right, he's an NBA player. He's making millions of dollars. If you and I decide that we don't want to show up to work for 2 months, we get fired. There's no question about it. There's no debate. After 3 days, they're going to ask us not to come back. For a guy like him, he can literally decide, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And people praise him like he's the best player on earth. I'm sorry, but if I'm a Lakers player and your star player is saying, you know what? I'm not going to show up to work. How does that make me feel? Why should I show up to work at that point?
Well, and it did not help the cause that I'm not the GM. I'm not this guy. I'm not, I'm going to let management take care of management decisions.
Right.
Yet he's behind the scenes just chirping, causing a scene, saying, I want these guys gone, or I want these guys on our teams. He did the same thing in Cleveland. He did it in LA last season. And basically that entire roster, they were at a point where you could have said, okay, yeah, they can maybe be a 4 seed. He gets hurt. He gets bored, I think. I don't know if it's being bored or if it's I'm looking at the players that are on the court right now, and I just don't think they're good. Or it is what it is with LeBron. I mean,
and he's done little stuff throughout his career that, maybe I'm looking too much into, but it kind of raises a question for me. Like one game when Tyronn Lue was ejected when he was with the Cavs. And when LeBron went to the bench, instead of sitting where all the players did, he sat where the head coach sits.
Yeah.
I've never seen an NBA player ever do that. Ever.
I've never seen an NBA player.
Yeah, I've never seen an NBA player have the impact on a front office that he does.
But it's LeBron James. I mean, and that's the thing that it's like the trade-off there. He's got this. It's almost a stigma. Well, it is. I mean, at this point, it is a stigma around him of being difficult to work with. He wants to be the GM, owner, coach, and star player, but he still produces. I know last season he was injured for most of the year, but I think he's going to come back this season and still be one of the better players in the league. I mean, I don't think that he just because he didn't play last season that he drops off. I think, if anything, you could say he gets a little bit of rest. He played in 8 straight finals. So
something like that, 7 straight.
Yeah, so he's going to have a little bit of breather. He really takes his nutrition and stuff, other than when he gets on social media and decides to yell about Taco Tuesdays, which I think is one of the most annoying things now.
I don't
can't stand
at this
it,
point.
Man.
At this point, it's Tuesday. I know you're eating tacos, LeBron.
Yeah, no, it's just it's. Like
I don't know. If you want to post it on social
media,
media, so be it. But I don't need ESPN to give me a half-hour special about LeBron's Taco Tuesdays anymore.
Yeah, no, but
I don't care if he invites AD over too.
The trade-off is there. So we're going to talk about one more person.
Well, before we do that,
go ahead.
So Griffin was actually on The Jump today.
Okay.
And clarified his comments about working with LeBron. And he said that it was more about the noise than actually working with LeBron. It was more about that every little thing he did was under scrutiny. The quote from him is, word for word, "The fact that there was so much scrutiny in everything we did, when I was speaking about being uncomfortable and being miserable, it was my inability to deal with that media scrutiny. It wasn't the man himself, it was everything that came with the team led by LeBron James. It had nothing to do with being miserable with LeBron. We had and have a very positive relationship." Are you buying that?
I mean, he could definitely just be kind of trying to clear the air.
Is he trying to clear the air, or is he trying to cover
PR cover up? But
it sounds like it's PR cover his backside.
But okay, so
I said something that may insult LeBron, and you don't do that in this NBA. And at least while he's still in the league, you don't insult LeBron.
The thing too, I mean, I know these guys are polished when it comes to speaking to media outlets.
So he should be used to.
People make mistakes in the public eye. I mean, you can say something that can be misconstrued. And maybe that's why he felt like he needed to go on and clarify it. Obviously, there was something there because he resigned. It wasn't. Well, I think he was. Was he fired or did he resign?
He left. He resigned.
Left. That's what I thought.
Because he even said, and one thing that he didn't clarify at all is when he said yesterday that after we won the title in Cleveland, I knew I was gone. I knew that I wasn't going to stick around. I knew that I wasn't for any amount of money.
Yeah. He said it was like the anxiety that was caused by actually just being in that situation.
So he never clarified those comments, and that's kind of what I'm looking for is, in reality, why did you leave? Was it actually because winning a championship around LeBron was that stressful? Or I basically want him to directly address that specific part.
Yeah.
In that after we won, I left. Because how many GMs are going to sit there and be like, "Oh, we won, we left." Or
I don't want to run this team back and try to win another championship.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're talking about dramatic players, and I guess that one of the, in my opinion, probably one of the most dramatic basketball players during my lifetime is Carmelo Anthony. Opinion, but he's probably my least favorite basketball player. But he's trying to make a return to basketball. At least he wants to. He
does.
He's also a guy that thinks that he still deserves to be the head scorer. We played in Houston last season. That didn't work out for very long.
Did he play in Houston?
Yeah, we could even argue that it wasn't even it was just a stint. I mean, he played maybe 5 games and
he was there. He was on the roster. He got a paycheck.
Cut. So
basically, me at work, I just sit there and I get a paycheck and don't know what it's for.
So you can make the argument. Does he? I mean, he's still got talent, But do you think that the headache and everything that Carmelo brings is worth just adding, maybe bringing him as a 6-man role or something?
I don't even think. Look, unless he can do some crazy workout and he can prove that he still has the endurance to keep up with what the league has become, and the athleticism to keep up with what the league has become, I don't even know if he's a 6-man. He might be on a title contender as your 10, 11, 12 guy that comes in for maybe 3 minutes a game just because you really need to rest your starters because it's game 6. I don't see him being even a number 6 regular guy, and I think the issue with him is he is still thoroughly convinced that he's a starter.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. But okay, so we have the World Basketball Championships coming up with FIBA. I believe in the next coming month or so.
Yeah, it's this summer.
So, Mr. USA Basketball over our lifetime has been Carmelo Anthony. He has been. You could argue he is one of the most decorated U.S. basketball players.
Oh,
so
for sure.
If you're Carmelo Anthony, are you trying to get, because there's been a lot of guys who have said, and star players for that matter, who have said, I don't want to be a part of the world or the USA team this summer.
I think he needs to be. I flat out, like, I mean, we were talking to tie it back to the beginning of the show. We were talking about NFL preseason, and for a lot of the guys, preseason is their chance to show off, to try to make a roster, to try to make that big play. And I think that's what Carmelo needs right now, because I don't think people in the league are truly convinced that he is going to do it. You know, you look at his stats over 16 seasons, just showed up on my computer, 24 points per game, 16 assists per game. Can he do that now?
No,
like, yes, he's in the gym every day,
so.
but he needs real game time, and I think NBA preseason is too late for that. So I think Carmelo needs to find a way to get on this roster, get in this camp, and play and show that he can still play, because I don't think people are convinced of that. Because at this point, if people were truly convinced, somebody would have picked him up by now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is
even a team like the Suns, somebody would have picked him up by now to at least try to get some star power, at least try to get some name in there to draw attention, draw ticket sales, do something. Well, but nobody's even been interested.
The thing is, can he coexist with another star player like LeBron James, or you could even go and say the idea of him playing with like Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Lillard will be on the team this summer, so it would be an opportunity to kind of see a trial run of, okay, can they play together and coexist? We've got just 1 minute left before we wrap up the show. So I'm a big Martin Scorsese fan.
Okay.
Goodfellas might be my favorite movie of all time, and good like mafia type movie, a good mafia crime, organized crime movie is one of my favorite. Did you see the preview for The Irishman?
I have.
So that talking about we're playing it right now.
Right.
Jimmy Hoffa. They're basically the premise is that Robert De Niro, his character Frank, is involved in the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, who was pronounced dead in 1975, went missing in 1975, and then pronounced dead in 1982. So 7 years later. Do you think that this is something that you want to go see?
Oh, for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah, me.
Oh, this is going to be awesome. I mean, come on.
You
got Martin Scorsese and you've got this cast behind it, Robert De Niro. I mean, come on.
But yeah, I guess the question
it's a chance to see Robert De Niro in another Godfather-esque role.
Yes, and the question could be made, okay, these guys are getting a little older in their careers. I mean, Pesci hasn't been in something in maybe 10 years. So yeah, I guess I wanted to wrap the show up with something a little bit different. I know we're talking about sports, and that's generally going to be our focus on Concho Valley Crossover, but it's exciting, or it's fun to bring in something from movies, or maybe something from pop culture every now and then as well.
I'm looking at this cast right now: Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci. Man.
Yeah,
you got to have to. All right, when does this come out?
20 years ago, it's going to go out on Netflix. But 20 years ago, if you would have had that cast being released, like that movie would have been the most talked about thing for 2 years, and this has garnered a lot of attention. So I'm excited for it.
Plus, it's a Pennsylvania story, so I'm excited.
I know
the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area. So I'm obviously a movie about a Pennsylvania mobster I got to go see.
Well, that's going to do it for our second episode of the Concho Valley Crossover. We
Made
got
it.
through it.
We made it.
Still a little bit unorganized, but we appreciate everyone that tuned in and listened to us. And next Monday, we'll have a full hour block ready to go and talk about some sports. 2 days are getting started, so
Yeah. I can't wait to find out what we talk about, just like everybody else can't wait to find out what we talk about.
All right, everyone, you guys have a great weekend.